Hey folks, how you doing out there? Welcome. I was going back to America today, and I got bit by a buffalo. Hey, this is a Drink and a Wink info review. I'll explain more on that later. As you know, Michelle and I have been kind of deep into agave and related spirits, Mexican spirits. We still have one more to bring you, hopefully after we have a big rehearsal tomorrow for Michelle's Chicago Jazz Fest performance on September 6th at 4:30. Yes? At the WDCB tent. Anyway, we're rehearsing. We had a fabulous band. Friends, some of them drinking winkers, all of them friends. And even if they don't drink, they still wink with us. I don't know what that means. Anyway, after that, the rehearsal, maybe Michelle will join us. I'll see what she thinks. Maybe later in the weekend cover that Sotal video, and then we'll be done with Mezcal. Anyway, kind of funny story today. I was kind of like, you know what? I go and visit a friend, and then I'll come back later. Go visit the D&AW allocations, and I was just maybe thinking, I had heard some different things. Four Roses right now has upgraded their not their single barrel bottle, but the old standard yellow bottle, which I'm not really a fan of, but that's kind of their yellow label bottle. Just in case you know this, they've been sold to a different company, I think, in the last year, if I'm not mistaken. I was listening to the podcast, and they have released that at 100 proof. And I just was very fascinated, but then I didn't buy the bottle. Anyway, I'll get to that later. I was kind of hanging out, and I went to see the Dean of Allocations. If you know who that is, he's a guy I went to school. He said I could actually use his name now, but I'm still going to keep Dean of Allocations. If you went to Eastern Illinois University, you had anything to do with the music department in the late 80s, early 90s, you know who I'm talking about. And he's I'll be out over at the old Binny's from time to time, not with anything pricing, he's not doing anything weird, just, hey, check this out. Or, I like to go in and shoot the bull with him a little bit about whiskey and drums and everything. Dean is also a fine percussionist and drum set player and all that. I told the completely uninterested clerk today that I had my first college drink in higher up over there in his dorm room. So that was great. So anyway, the Dean of Allocations. When I go into Dean is very focused on his job. If you know him, you know that, and he's always got his head in the computer or helping a customer. He's at the Binny store. He's like a wine expert. He's amazing and has a great knowledge of that stuff. But he's always very focused. So when I walk in, I'll kind of sneak up. He's always in the back of it. I'll say something like, you have any left-handed wine, or I'll use his nickname, or I'll say something like, do you have any alcoholic, non-alcoholic beer, something like that. And I'll catch him off guard, and it takes him a second because it's a total jerk move, right, Michelle, for me to go into his place of work and do this bullshit, right? And then famously, I also know that for people that work at Binny's, especially managers and department managers and all that kind of stuff, they get very tired of these goofy bourbon hunters that come in and ask for the same kind of shit all the time. I'm swearing today. That's all right. We're after. It's 9:46. Close enough. Anyway, so today I walked in and I was like, "Hey man, do you have any Blantons?" And he like laughed because he does this like, oh, he realizes it's me. And he's like, you know what? Actually, I have no idea why we actually have it out on the shelf right now. And I was like, what? And I was like, so he had to deal with a customer. So I walked over, and on a barrel, I haven't seen this, and I don't really know why. He didn't even know either. There was, you could buy one of Blanton's, the Blanton Gold series. And there are a couple other ones. Maybe there was an Elmer or Elmer T. Lee, or that one that you see in that big canister back there, the Colonel E.H. Taylor. I can't remember, but I was kind of, I'm not that interested in that. The one thing about the Binny stores here in Illinois, when they do get them and they do release them, and you get to buy them. There's no real strings attached. They are close. They're within $5, maybe a little bit more. Let's say 10% of MSRP. Okay, maybe it's 15, but that's great. The problem with all the Buffalo Trace products in these Buffalo Trace products used to be you can go in and get a couple of the basic ones right off the shelf. Now almost everything, even just Buffalo Trace sometimes, is hard to find because this company, Buffalo Trace, which is owned by Sazerac, just makes it. I don't really know what the ball game is, but there's just this very well, they don't put a bunch out, kind of creating a glut in the market, but it creates this thing. And Blanton's especially right over here, and I think back there, right next to it, Elmer T. Lee, are some of them that are very hard to find. They have these other ones in these different series that are just very hard to get. And if you don't get them in one of the few places that sell them close to retail, then you're looking in the aftermarket, and some of the better stores will do something like you can buy a Blanton's at close to retail, but you got to buy something else. I've seen it where you can buy a Blanton's for $100. I think it lists at 90, but then you got to buy Wheatley vodka at regular price, which is also a Buffalo Trace, all that kind of stuff. But then there are other secondary markets like a store right down the block here, not to put them on blast, but Jerusalem Liquors here on Lawrence Avenue has Buffalo Trace, the regular one, which should be in the 27, maybe now $30 range. They have it for like 60, just a regular Buffalo Trace. Ridiculous. I've been to stores where it's, Blanton's is 200, 300, and you have to ask, you got to beg, and you got to, it's crazy. But maybe, since I've seen these out in the barrels, it died down. I am not in that hunt. Or so I thought. I was going to go in, maybe get that little Four Roses that I was talking about or something. And then we're chatting. I see some people looking at the Blantons. I saw this one person, there's a couple, open the box and close the box and open the box. What that means is they were looking at the top of the cap or the cork to see which horse it was. It's madness. And I thought that I had sworn off this idea of hunting for Blantons. Once I had hunting for anything. Two things that did that with Buffalo Trace. One was the bottle of the last bottle of Blantons that I have here, which you can see is still not gotten down to the halfway point. I got a dud. We'll talk about that later. Or you people are really weird because this is not a very good bottle. Just to be. In no way, shape, or form is this great at all. I've put it out there that Buffalo Trace is happy to talk to me, but they're not going to talk to me. So that's that. When I bought that bottle, I also got that from the D&AW allocations. I also did get an Elmer T. Lee, and I like that one quite a bit. So anyway, I'm kind of shooting the bull, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Have you ever had this one?" And I'm like, Hancock's President's Reserve. I was like, wait a minute. It's on the Buffalo Trace barrel. They had them all out in a barrel. I'm like, what? Is that another one that like everyone hunts? And he's like, yeah. He's like, it's supposed to be kind of on the lower side price tag wise, and even more rare. And I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to pay MSRP for this, and did a little better, yeah, let's check it out. All right, let's go for it. All right. So in that single barrel series. We've got all the one I've mentioned. Colonel E.H. Taylor, the real tall one, and kind of the manila canister. Like that one. This one is priced kind of in that range. As I said, Blanton's. Sorry, I'm pointing over here. Blanton's. It's going to be probably 90 MSRP. Good luck finding it that way. Elmer is a little cheaper, less descript bottle. Here's the weird part. Buffalo Trace can be so confusing. They have so many of these. There's also another one, I can't remember, it's got a horse on it, another one of these. But these are all falling out of what we call a single barrel collection, okay? I don't even know if they call it that, but these are single barrel offerings. We all know what that means. Single barrel means they put a batch I don't even say a batch. They distill, they put it into a barrel, and they don't do the more common practice on lower prices of then blending multiple barrels together to get consistency. So when you buy a good bourbon, you buy Wild Turkey 101, okay? Or just a regular Wild Turkey. That is made, barreled, aged, and then put into a humongous vat that's blended together for consistency. Some people love that if that's what you're looking for, but the single barrel gives you a little bit more of a provenance, and of course, what that means is from batch to batch, there should be some variations. In my most generous place, when I talk about my last Blanton's bottle, I say maybe I got a batch that's just very, very. It just smells like Band-Aids and it tastes like Band-Aids. I don't know how that can be, and nobody has ever addressed it. This one is the one that everyone is going to, oh, they have brands at the restaurant. Let's buy a bunch. I spend way too much. I won't buy another one. I just don't need it. There are great whiskeys out there. So I thought I was completely off, and then I was like, yeah, let's do it. Okay? So I bought the single barrel Hancock's President's Reserve. This is a very weird one because now, if you go to the Buffalo Trace site, so just to be clear, Buffalo Trace is the distillery. They also have a bottle that's just called Buffalo Trace. You got Buffalo Trace. I'm not going to go through all the different, there's so many brands. There's Buffalo Trace, that's kind of the flagship in the middle. Then the lower price are the benchmarks. They have many different benchmarks. Ancient Age is another mash bill. Eagle Rare. Eagle Rare used to be one of my favorites, Eagle Rare 10. The D&AW allocations also showed me an Eagle Rare 21 or something like that. That was going for a cool $3,000. Imagine how Michelle would have thought if I brought that home today, right? No, no, of course I would, right? If I'm going to spend that kind of money on something, you know it's not going to be American bourbon, right, Michelle? I'm never going to do that, but let's say we win $1 million or we get awarded Best at the Fest. I'm there, right? And we get this prize. That does not exist, but let's just say we do. We get $1 million. If I'm going to spend, and Michelle's like, okay, well, maybe we should take care of some other expenses first. But here's $3,000 to buy whiskey. I'm not buying Eagle Rare 21 or whatever. All right. In case you're wondering, because I know you're all waiting with bated breath, I would look for. Well, that's tough, Michelle, huh? I would go for a real old Glenallachie. Or maybe, That's hard. It's hard to say. Anyway, why am I talking about this? Let's talk about this whiskey. So, this whiskey is very strange because also, along with the horse thing, and Southern Farms, I can't remember. This isn't even, Michelle, I didn't know this until this isn't even on the Buffalo Trace website right now. They have all their offerings, and it's not there anymore. It's actually only on the Sazerac Company webpage, which is the parent company for Buffalo Trace. Let me tell you about this. This is a reportedly mash bill 2 from them. There are 10 or more that are done in mash bill 1, and then 10 or more in mash bill 2. Then Pappy and Weller's, I think I'm pointing at one there, 102. That's the wheated mash bill. This is reportedly 102. 102 has the slightly higher rye content. I know when I buy a bourbon, if I'm buying something that maybe Michelle will ever want to drink, I usually go with the higher rye content because that's our preference for both right now. I prefer that a little bit. Let's go in. On the nose, smells very sweet. And again, I'm trying not to use some of the reviews that I listened to today as a reference. This batch is not as sweet as some of the people say, but there are some little notes of pixie stick and pleasant sugars. It's pleasant enough on the nose. A little bit of barrel funkiness in a good way, a little bit of hay, and a big nose, but no sense of that this is like a supercharged barrel or anything, or that it has a lot of age. Okay, I did have a taste of this earlier, and I did what a lot of people that review do: drink, hold it for about 5 seconds, and then, or 2 seconds, and then swallow. Now that I gave this a better swallow, I am already enjoying this more. Do that when you're tasting, especially bourbon, but really everything. They call it the Kentucky Chew or the Tennessee Chew. Get it in there. Just holding it longer gets some of those taste buds that get some of those more the darker flavors, the darker cherry side of things. It'll pop out. It's really, you paid money for your whiskey. That's what you do. Okay, that's how we taste whiskey. A little bit nutty, leaning on the sweet side. Again, I didn't get the rye spice and that kind of rye flavor. Somewhat, I don't want to say savory, just spicier, leathery flavor that rye can sometimes do. Leathery's not right, but anyway, the earthier flavor that on that longer hold, I had it. Not a very long finish. Looking at the legs on the glass, we're doing all right. Also keep in mind this is just a hair lower than some of the proofs on the other whiskeys. This is 44.45 instead of 45. Yeah. Have I bought it for just kind of reference sake? Yes. Will I buy another one? Probably not. But let's see this. Right, Michelle? We haven't met any whiskeys we don't like, right? Michelle's like folded paper right now for this rehearsal. It's very important tomorrow, and I'm doing this baloney. I made a Manhattan with it. And here, this is doing me just fine. Sometimes when you make a Manhattan and you're using, like you're supposed to, sweet vermouth, sometimes depending on how sweet the bourbon is, that corn mash bill, or more corn prominence, it can kind of fight the vermouth with weirdness. Sweet vermouth it is like fruity sweet versus what sweet corn, or that idea from bourbon is. It's hard to describe the taste. Sometimes to fight it. This is not fighting it. For me, I wish even more that the higher mash bill even came out. But this is a nice blender. Yeah, this is, again, I got bit. Like I said, I got bit by the buffalo. I've been a huge fan. I mean, the first time I ever had Eagle Rare 10, I mean that stuck with me. I'm going to say it one more time, right, Michelle? You remember I just liked Eagle Rare 10, right? And I think we both did a little bit, right? Yeah. Yep. And the first time I had Weller Special Reserve, I loved it. Now I'm starting to see my taste for weeded bourbon has kind of waned a little bit. Special Reserve 102, but in this mash bill, I've enjoyed the Colonel E.H. Taylor. I think it's the mash bill 2. I've enjoyed Elmer T. Lee. I would put this closest in flavor profile. You know what? Shit. Let's just. God, I'm swearing today. What's going on, Michelle? I'll tell you why. I'll tell you a funny story. And I've told this already. So we got a tire in our Subaru Forester, a nail in our tire on our Subaru Forester, and I swear we have absolutely the worst luck over the years of getting nails in tires. So I had this place I literally used to know the names of the people that worked at this tire store. Then it changed hands, but I've still gone to there 2 or 3 times. And I drove over there first today, and it closed. It's closed permanently. Yeah, this would be very close in taste profile to Elmer T. Lee. I would pick Elmer T. Lee over this. Elmer T. is a little more expensive and just as hard to find. It's a different. It is different though. It's interesting. Same mash bill, a little lower proof. I'm going to wrap it up this way with Hancock President's Reserve single barrel. It does not eclipse the other single barrels. Colonel E.H. Taylor single barrel, that one back there, has a heavier and weightier and more bready note, a little nuttier note. This falls in a weird spot. It's interesting. Not a bad sipper, approachable. If you see it at MSRP, which would be, in the $50 range or something like that, yeah, maybe, a maybe. I'm going to give it just right down the middle 8, nothing more. But it is, no, it is what it is. I hate that phrase. However, it is a really nice Swiffer mixer if you're not using a super sweet and pungent vermouth in, say, a Manhattan. Okay, today on this one I use Dolan, which is not super sweet and it's not super pungent. I know that I've made Manhattans with more heavy, robust bourbons that have a lot more kick, and when I've done that with Koki, which is a more pungent, fruitier, dark red wine vermouth, I know that it hasn't been the best. So this is a nice Manhattan bourbon for sure. I'm just not convinced that I would be sipping it too much. Definitely won't go to waste. And yeah, remember that when you're sipping your bourbon, sipping your whiskey, giving it a try, hold it on your tongue, do a little fake chewing, and you're going to get a second experience that will definitely improve. It'll make you feel better by buying a bottle of whiskey. Tasty, like I said, 8 right down the middle. The Buffalo Trace, it's a love-hate relationship. Like I said, I like Buffalo Traces as the standard, just the regular one. Eagle Rare 10, really, when you could get it easily. I mean, I remember going into grocery stores and it was always there. Now it's tough to find. Great. Weller Special Reserve, you'd have to ask for it. I don't know if it's worth it. Some of the bigger ones and the different collections I like the whole thing, but it is a little confusing, and there are smaller brands now that I think I'm more favor. I don't know that Buffalo Trace has any big swings, and I'm a big swings kind of guy. That's what I've always liked. Like just right over here, the DeKalb Distillery, Buffalo Trace. Whiskey Acres. They take big swings. Flavorful whiskey. That might not be your bag. So, Hancock's President's Reserve in this really dull packaging. Give it just right down the middle, 8. I'm not going to go any higher on that. Somewhat recommended only if that's what I've described is nice for you. You don't want anything too overpowering. You like things a little bit on the sweet side, but there's just hints of things. It hints at a lot of things without going over the top. Some of you might love that. I like to kind of know where I'm headed. This one's a little different. All right, folks. But I'll wrap with this. Some of you know, I'm dealing with some family stuff, parent stuff. We all have to deal with it, but it's been pretty heavy, right, Michelle? And Michelle has been a rock for me and the rest of my family, my sister, all that good. But here's kind of what's unique. I mentioned the Dean of Allocations. Just today, and some of them might watch this, I have either conversed, meaning through Facebook Messenger or text or whatever, with 4 people that I went to college, 4 dear friends. The Dean of Allocations, Krista, who was my college roommate for a few years, but much more. One of my best friends ever when I was in college. My we could not be any more different. But my buddy Aaron, he was our best man. Was chatting with him today. Finally, my buddy Peter, who I went to school with at Eastern Illinois University, this little directional, as I like to say, directional college or university, public, right in the middle of Illinois, all led by my professor Johnny Lee Lane. Anyway, it's just really cool that we haven't been together. I mean, I've seen many of them, and Aaron lived with me for a while. We've been close. Dean I get to see because he moved up here. It's just really cool that I left Eastern Illinois University in '93. When I went back for a little bit for a cup of coffee for grad school, and then '94, and I'm like in one day I've talked to four different college friends. Pretty cool, right, Michelle? It is, and they are wonderful, and we can be complete as serious as a heart attack, or we could just be completely bonkers. All of them are completely on board, and it's really fun. So, if anything, I mean, whiskey didn't bring all four of us together, or four of these folks together, but yeah, this is a fun day, despite working hard and doing that. One more plug if you're in the Chicagoland area. I grew up going to the Chicago Jazz Fest, and some people, don't think that that's the best place for jazz, but go, it's free, right?
I was reminded by a high school friend who saw Miles Davis at a Chicago Jazz Festival.
Saw Miles Davis at a Chicago Jazz Festival. That's great. I saw Billy Higgins, Al Foster, Herbie a couple of times, Dexter Gordon, and other jazz snobs will tell me, "Well, that's not anything." I've ran on track. I've gone quite a few times. I remember fondly hanging out with Alyssa Allgood and Tim Fitzgerald, who's playing with us at the Jazz Fest this year, watching who was that drummer player with the drum machine that was so loud. Let me just say it this way. Get out to these things. And I'm not just saying that for us. But I will say it for us. Check it out, all right? It's a lot of fun. Get down there. Support the vendors and stuff like that are down there if you have the opportunity in Chicago to do that. We are performing September 6th at the WDCB stage. We have some musicians. I'll just give you a lineup. We got Corey Biggerstaff on bass. We got Tim Fitzgerald on guitar. We got Matt Shevitz on saxophone, who is like the jazz director at the College of WDCB. That's where they fund that stage. We've got Chris Mayhew, our partner in crime. He's been on Michelle's last two records, and just the most beautiful cat you could ever hear play. Tinkle the keys. We got Chris Davis playing trumpet with us. He's joining us. I met him at another friend's church, and he's going to be hitting it. Did I say Corey Biggerstaff? Come on, I got to say that. Did I leave anyone else out? Chris, Tim, Matt Shevitz, Corey Biggerstaff, Tim Fitzgerald. Now I'm just repeating myself. Oh, Michelle Thomas and Darren Scorza. I hear that this Darren Scorza character has a lot to offer. You just kind of hang out for a bit. Check it out. September 6th, we play at 4:30, right? To 6:15?
6:15?
Yes. We got a lot of cool stuff happening. We're rehearsing tomorrow with a 7-piece band. I would venture to say that in regards or in terms of the WDCB stage and the Vaughn stage, that might be one of the bigger bands you're going to see. And I know that I've been burning the midnight oil, writing, checking my horn charts from recordings that Michelle did, 15 years ago. It's going to kill. But check out anything like that. It's really fun. And again, the thing about Chicago Jazz Fest, if you can support it either financially, one way to do it is get down there, buy a shirt, support the vendors, all that, because it is one of the few free jazz fests that you can attend. Is it as quote unquote good as New Orleans? No, but you can't even get into You can't even go to the porta potty normal without dropping $50.
Why would you even mention?
What?
Oh my goodness. No comparison.
No, that's it. It's free. It's not an elitist thing. Check it out. We're gonna have a lot of fun. I also am aware that we have some friends playing. Joanne Doherty's playing during that time. Again, if this is Chicago specific, check them out. These musicians are great. One of our dear friends, Joanne Doherty's got her band playing. I think on the main stage. I believe. No, I don't believe. I know that. Awesome.
Alexander?
Really good. What?
Yeah.
D. Alexander's hitting. Alex Beltran is hitting. I think he's right before us, right?
Maybe it is.
Yes. And I'm missing a bunch of people that were front.
Chris Green.
Chris Green is playing. Is he playing at the DCB or Vaughn? DCB, same stage as us. He played on one of Michelle's records. Great stuff. So if you're in the area, come on down. It's a lot of fun. And that Sunday, September 6th, I'm going to try to get down there other days, Michelle and I. We are going to focus on our gig. After we get done at 6:15, the closing night or the closing set on the main stage at Millennium Park stage is Paquita de Rivera, one of my all-time favorite groups. And I've been checking the website. I got to contact him and just to make sure we're not like buds. But he'll know if I text him or Facebook message him. We can converse. Mark Walker, the great, wonderful Chicago drummer that was from Chicago when I moved back to Chicago after college. He left, thankfully, which gave me maybe upwards of 4 gigs that I didn't have before. So that's it. So I'm giving this strange plug at the end. I told Michelle this is going to be a short video, and now I'm going into a half an hour. Anyway, well, I'm plugging your gig. We're going to play some music from Michelle's last 2 records. So there's going to be a good chunk of our treatments of Stevie Wonder music. Her last record was doing some more different themes of called The Assumption. Beautiful. She has we're going to play some of her originals. We didn't get to play it the last time we played at Jazz Fest. Lots of fun. I hope I'm not leaving out any dear friends that are playing on it, but I checked the lineups. I think I got it. Cool. Check it out. It's September. Some things start up on Thursday the 3rd,
Yeah.
right?
Full festival, yeah, 3rd to the 6th.
3rd to the 6th. The heart of it is where we have 3 different stages running congruently: the WDCB stage, the Von Firma stage, and the Millennium Park stage. No, I know that. Then there's the one on top of the Harris Theater. Did I get that right? Right, and that's where some of the Young Lions play. And oddly, I played a wedding up on that same stage for who's that guy? Who's the chef? Rick Bayless. I played a wedding with some other great dear friends, including Alex Beltran, who's playing right before us at the WDs. I'm rambling, folks. I drink a little bit too much whiskey today. I'm going to say it, but I'm going to plug jazz. I was up there, and we played a wedding gig, and I was for his daughter, Rick Bayless's daughter, and because of unmitigated circumstances, I never got one bite of food out of that Mother Hubbard. But I liked playing the gig. It was fun. So when the Chipotle, I'm doing a bad Rick Bayless, but he's good. He's so cool.
What?
I don't know. I just remember a flash mob for his daughter's wedding. They were very nice. I enjoyed playing it. Yep.
Say good night.
Should I?
You should.
Okay. No, I'm going to call out because you know what? If Dan Murphy, if he watches this still, if Dan Murphy on piano would have not gone and got food and took care of his pianist that was playing for the flash mob, I would have been able to eat something from Rick Bayless's menu. Anyway, see you later. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. Hancock's presidents found a reserve. 8, maybe a little bit. Okay, I can find use for it. It's tasty. Glad I bought it. Check it out. All right. Will you join me on maybe Saturday, or I mean not tomorrow night, but tomorrow night or Sunday for a little bit of the Sotal thing to wrap up our agave thing? Okay. We love Sotal, right? That's all. So tall.